Is Keir Starmer's one-in, one-out plan a game changer or a flawed strategy? In this video, Talk TV's Julia Hartley-Brewer discusses this policy with Baroness Claire Fox from the Academy of Ideas. Plus, we'll explore key leadership principles of influence and decision-making. Before we get into the details, if you love diving into political issues and enjoy hearing a principled take on them, then hit the like button, share this video, and subscribe to join the conversation. It will help our channel reach a wider audience.
You used the word performative there, and I suppose that's the best description as well of this new one-in, one-out migrant policy as well that was announced during the French summit with Emmanuel Macron a few weeks ago. Apparently, as of today, it comes into legal force, and then we're going to see it by the end of this week. So we've got 800 migrants who come over on boats roughly most weeks on average. We've got a 50% rise this year on what we had arriving by this time last year. So things aren't going so well on the smashing the gangs front. So you've got on average 800 migrants arriving on those boats once a week. 50 of those are going to be detained, we're told, as part of this pilot scheme. I don't know which 50 they choose. And so 50 are detained, and then they're going to be deported back to France. So we don't know how long that will take. The human rights lawyers are going to be all over this, as we know. And in return for those 50, we're going to get another 50 people from France who are already asylum seekers who apparently have been vetted, who have some link to this country. They've got a second cousin in Leicester. And they're going to be able to come to this country and no doubt then bring all of their extended family too, as often being the case. Seems to me we're going to end up with more people, and I'm not quite sure how we've got a deterrent here. What do you make of the scheme?
Again, listen, one thing I will say, and I don't often say this, I sort of feel sorry for the Labour government because I think what's happening is, I think that somebody said, oh, God, we've got to do something about all those people protesting and we've got to be seen to be doing something. So they pulled open a drawer of kind of daft policies from the past that everyone's rejected and said, why don't we try this one or this one or this one? And actually, they've announced quite a lot of policies this week, the visas and students. So every time you kind of turn the telly on or listen to the radio, there's a new anti-small boats, tackle the gangs policy. And each one of them is dafter than the last one. And none of us can take them seriously. So it's not just performative, but it's actually discrediting.
Yeah. Oh, we just roll our eyes. Yeah, we were discussing the extra £100 million for border security yesterday. That's at this end as opposed to the French. I mean, do I need to read the details? It's just going to be a load of nonsense, not going to make a difference. If any of this stuff worked, we wouldn't have seen a 50% increase in the last year.
Exactly. But you also made a very good point about your second cousin jibe. Actually, one of the things that's a real problem in relation to what then passes as a legitimate asylum seeker is it seems to me that, first of all, it's very unclear when they say they're going to, for example, get rid of the backlog and they're going to zoom through it quicker, whether that means they're tick-boxing people through. We know that the definitions of asylum seeker and refugee are outdated and don't fit the present model anyway, don't fit the present world. So you just can think, well, you can have got rid of the waiting list can go down because you've just said yes to everyone. We also have this ridiculous family reunification policy. Now, we all know that when it was designed originally, you can imagine a situation where if you were Jewish and fleeing Nazi persecution or fleeing from the Stalinist regimes, that, you might turn up and think, well, could I bring my wife or children and so on. Now we know that this is one of the most abused parts of the present asylum system. And as a consequence, what we're now saying is that all these people in France who say, I've got a second cousin, so wherever, right, can come over. And I always make the point, if this is kind of all about honouring the family, why it is that all those young men who arrive are so committed to their family that they've left their wives, sisters, mothers and kids behind. I mean, you do think hardly an act of courage and bravery. Can't you put the women in the boats first? But they don't manage to do that. Yet somehow whenever it's discussed in the Lords, it drives me mad. People start saying, what about the families? What about the children? This is so cruel. We've got to have family reunification. Well, we know that as a consequence of which, there will be a large number of extended families who will then be seen as not a problem because they've got legitimate asylum
Not
status.
a problem, and they're not in asylum hotels. So there won't be people protesting, but they'll be moved into this country. And what a surprise, they're asylum seekers. You haven't got that strong a family link here. Oh, and now they go to the top, of course, of the council housing list. And again, more and more families, British families of every ethnicity, who are sitting on this list, who are desperately trying to compete for, low rent housing and float homes, they get pushed down the list. Once again, those asylum children, by the way, also get priority at local schools. Colleagues, I don't just feel there's just a slight sort of change in the air and a feeling that people are going, seriously, okay, we gave the Labour lot a year. We didn't trust them in the first place on this. They're not going to deal with this. They're trying to have one over on us. They think we're idiots. They've contempt for us. They think we're just racist bigots for raising concerns about this. They're talking about or giving a bit more information now, Keir Starmer and Vet Cooper, after Nigel Farage pressed them, about giving more information about, immigration status, ethnicity and the like. But fundamentally, we've got, a government, a civil service, a police and councils and everyone else who don't think this is a problem when the rest of us do.
I think there's so many aspects of why people are tearing their hair out. And partly it is that they feel that they're being gaslit by the government who don't, who kind of look you in the eye and don't take seriously what you're saying, don't understand.
Nothing to see here.
I've got no instinctive feeling for why it is that people are going, I can't stand this, I can't stand the fare dodging. I can't.
Oh, don't.
No, but we can't go with the fact that the police are going to be more likely to policing your tweets than policing when you have a theft or something serious happen. All of these things. So there's one thing after another. And each and every time, people do not feel that their concerns are being taken seriously. In fact, this is about saying that the biggest problem facing this country is this sort of unruly mob of types of plebs who are feeling disgruntled. Your very point about that atmosphere, a rather febrile atmosphere, it does feel as though people have had enough, that is seen as the problem. And how you can manage and control that, including shaping narratives in a way that's actually openly deploying official misinformation, not misinformation from protesters, but the government planning how they let information be known to us.
Telling a police chief off for linking the riots last summer to migration.
That was extraordinary, wasn't it? Because one of the things about those riots was that that woman was saying, the police and crime commissioner was saying, can we look at more deeply what created these riots? And she said maybe the basis of it is disgruntlement about mass migration.
Keir Starmer's 1-in-1 vote plan took effect on Tuesday, August 5th, 2025, with the European Union's approval. However, without the UK withdrawing from the European Court of Human Rights, the ECHR, the government's hands remain tied, limiting its ability to enact the transformative changes needed to address critical issues effectively. Leadership demands careful consideration of the consequences of decision, not just the immediate effects, but the long-term impact on the public. Some choices may cause short-term discomfort, yet deliver significant benefits in the future. Others might offer quick wins, but create lasting challenges if poorly thought out. True leadership prioritizes their nation's future over temporary validation by foreign leaders. The protests at migrant hotels across the UK reveal deep public frustration. The government's response often feels like empty gestures, performative acts that fail to address the core issues. The British people see through this. They are watching the rhetoric, noting the inaction, and demanding more. Effective leadership requires enacting policies with resolve and following through, not just offering hollow promises. Influence isn't about chasing popularity. It's about treating people with respect and acting with integrity. Too many politicians focus on short-term optics, seeking approval from those who may not even care about the nation's success. That's not leadership. It's a betrayal of the public's trust. It's time for the government to step up, deliver policies with substance, and lead with courage. Influence comes from actions that prioritize the people's needs, not from chasing headlines. What do you think the government should do next to lead with influence, rather than force? Share your views in the comments and let's keep the discussion alive. If you have benefited in any way from this video, please subscribe, like, share, and be sure to leave us a comment.